Okay, so hopefully y'all should see my screen and I should be in a little corner around. So yeah, this is a Flatiron School info session. I'll just briefly introduce myself. My name is Marissa. I'm a senior admissions lead for our data science course, but I have done admissions for all of our courses here at Flatiron School, so should be able to answer most questions that you have. A little bit about me is that I've been at Flatiron School for about 3 years. It'll be 3 years next month. Um, I am based out of New York. I actually live in the Bronx. So if anybody is on the East Coast, this is a late meeting for us. So I appreciate you logging on. But now that Flatiron has really expanded, I do admissions for students literally based all over the country. And yeah, I'm an avid reader. I love doing puzzles. I just taught myself how to complete a Rubik's Cube. I'm so proud of it. I will probably shout it out forever. Um, and I am a cat mom. I have a cat. Her name is Avalanche. And I'm trying to think of maybe I could throw in a fun fact about myself. So I usually go with Rubik's Cube, but I think another fun fact of mine is I actually got married over Zoom in the pandemic. Our wedding was March of 2020. So yeah, I think it's just a cool fun fact because it shows like how much technology has been ingrained in things that we're doing every single day. And that's super relevant to stuff that we'll cover today in terms of like making a transition into a tech career. Okay, so today we're going to cover just kind of a little bit about Flatiron School in general. I'm going to quickly overview all of our programs that we offer, four different types of programs you could take if you decide to attend Flatiron School. Then I will walk you through our admissions process, and then we'll highlight some things that really make us stand out in terms of like career services and our outcomes report. And like I said, I'll leave some time for questions. You can absolutely throw your question in the Q&A, and I'll be sure to review all of them. And Q&A is my favorite part, so I usually try to breeze through the presentation so I can answer any questions that you might have. All right, so we'll start with Flatiron School's mission statement to enable the pursuit of a better life through education. We're finding now more than ever, we're kind of a generation where you might not be using your four-year degree. You might be looking for untraditional ways to educate yourself and to stay relevant and to kind of pursue a better life. And that's really what we're here doing at Flatiron School. We really market ourselves to people who are making a career change. And we believe that tech is just another skill, another thing you can add on to kind of make yourself relevant, to kind of diversify your talents and pursue a better life. So Flatiron School was founded in 2012 by Adam and Avi. And Adam had a lot of the business acumen. Avi actually used to teach people how to code in coffee shops. And so when they came together, they kind of wanted to disrupt traditional education lines and give people a real avenue to learn how to code. Fast forward 10 years later, we have much more than just even software engineering. So now we have four different courses that we offer. We span a number of campuses, and we have graduated thousands of students that have gone on to successfully land jobs in tech. So yeah, we started out just here based in New York, but now we have campuses that go into Austin, Chicago, Denver, Houston, San Francisco, Seattle, DC. We've even acquired some schools that help us deliver our curriculum. So we've made a lot of progress in just a short amount of time. And again, it kind of just speaks to the fact that this is a super relevant skill set and something that we hope to kind of keep expanding as time goes on. So before I get into the different types of courses that we offer, I think it's important to talk about some universal things, which are the PACE options that you could choose at Flatiron School. So right now we offer two types of learning, I guess really three if you add campus on there, but you can do our live program or our flex model. Live right now is kind of like what you would think of a traditional bootcamp style course. This is our 15-week completely full-time option. So you're studying with us 9+ hours a day, Monday through Friday. Um, and then this is the option you would want to do if you do really well in structured learning environments. If you have the time to dedicate yourself 9 hours a day to a course where you're learning with set teachers, set classmates, in kind of like a fast paced, rigorous setting. Now, this offering we have runs virtually. You're mostly communicating over Zoom, Slack, other collaboration tools. But we actually do have some campus locations that are offering full-time education again. For example, the New York City campus is open, our Denver campus is open, and we're kind of doing a phased reopen approach if you want to get back into in-person learning. To study with us in person, you just do have to be fully vaccinated. Um, so yeah, we have this full-time style of learning, which is kind of again synonymous with this boot camp style learning. But we actually discovered that, especially with COVID, a flexible model is really valued with our students. So we also have a flex pace. Now, in this pace, you kind of choose your pace. You can set your own schedule, but we have some things that make it a bit more structured than a regular self-paced course. So in this option, same exact curriculum as our 15-week course, just delivered a bit differently. So in this option, you will chat with your teacher about how many hours you think you could dedicate each week and your goals for a timeline. And they'll give you a suggested pace to follow of 20, 40, or 60 weeks. 20 weeks being kind of like a full-time schedule, 40 weeks being closer to a typical part-time schedule, like 20 to 25 hours a week, 60 weeks being about 10 to 15 hours a week. But the really great part of this option is that you can adjust your pace as it goes. So maybe say you're working and things get really crazy at work, you can slow down in the course. Say you have a ton of free time on your hands, you could go faster. So it gives you the opportunity to go as fast or as slow as you'd like, so you could fit your learning into your regular schedule. So while you couldn't work when you're doing the 15-week program, it is kind of way too intensive, about a 50 to 60 hour a week commitment. Flex is really designed for working professionals or people that just, a kind of a typical 9 hour day in class just wouldn't work for them. Now you have quite a few options. And at some of our campus locations, we actually do allow flex students to come and study in person, should your schedule allow. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, some flexibility, but also some accountability and structure where you need it. Um, so yeah, that's a bit of context about the different pace options that you can choose. Now let's dive a bit into the different programs that we offer. Software engineering is our longest standing program. We've had this program around for since we started 10 years ago. And this is where you want to be if you want to learn how to code. So in this one, your goal is that you'll learn how to build and maintain a web application. So basically, you will learn how to code a website. This is the route you want to take if you want to become like a software engineer or a software developer, a front-end engineer, a back-end engineer, full stack. I'll go a bit more into our curriculum highlights. So the two languages that you'll learn in the course are JavaScript for front end, Ruby backend, and then the web frameworks that support these languages. So you'll use a lot of different tooling within kind of that those things covered in the curriculum. Also, something to note is that you actually, the course is broken down into 5 phases, with each phase having a dedicated portfolio project. So also while you're working through the curriculum, you're creating some tools that you'll use ultimately in your career search to present well and show that you know how to use these skills in a practical sense. So yeah, and those are the 2 languages, but also in terms of the web frameworks, you're learning React and Redux, Sinatra, and Rails. Now, one of the highlights of the program, as I mentioned, is some of these projects that you'll complete. So here's an example of a really cool portfolio project that resulted from the course. This one was built out by one of our students in Texas. She built an app that was called Money Moon. So it's basically a personal finance app for 2. So it gives couples an overview of their joint financial health, spending habits, trends without having to combine bank accounts. So the back end of this was built with Ruby on Rails. The front end of this was built with JavaScript using React and Redux to create kind of this lightweight interface. And then they used an API similar to the one used for Robinhood. So that would like scrape account and transactional data. So I thought this was a really good showcase of all the different skills that you can use. They use that front end language, they use that back end language, they integrated databases, and it kind of like resulted in a really nice user experience. So this is an example of the types of projects that students are completing after taking the software engineering program. Now, next up is our data science program. As mentioned, I do admissions primarily for this course. So really in the data science program, it's a lot of communicating with stakeholders and then figuring out their needs and then using data to inform business decisions. So a lot of it is a mix between data analytics, but also those data science skills, because you do learn how to code in this course. So an overview of our curriculum is we really do try to take you through a full data science program. So figuring out the relevant data that you would pull, scraping that data, cleaning it, organizing it, mostly using Python as well as some SQL, and then drawing some implications from your data. So in this one, there's a full statistics phase, then machine learning fundamentals. So predictive analytics, AI, you'll learn how to build models with algorithms, and then kind of like more advanced topics towards the end. There's natural language processing and deep learning, so kind of like recommendation system work. And then you'll learn how to also present your findings with some data visualization tools. So this course is really good for people like maybe you've worked in Excel and have written functions in Excel and want to find more automated ways. Maybe you're really into like AI and building things that can do predictive analytics. This would be a good route to take. It's also a really practical course where you can use, like if you're interested in some math skills, you can use them in this course. So yeah, there's tons of things you could do with this skill set. And I'll give you an example of one portfolio project that I particularly liked. So in this portfolio project, one of our students built a user-facing tool where you could analyze movies and you can actually put in parameters to see if they pass the Bechdel test, which is kind of like it's a test parameter examining how women are represented in film. It was kind of like you could pass the Bechdel test if there are two women speaking in a film, not about a man. So it used some of those themes to create this user tool. So it actually tells you how many directors, writers, producers are women. And then it gives you a score. So you could actually like put in this movie, the movie names, and then it used public movie data to field what was in the dashboard. I thought that that was such a cool way to show a data science skill set because not only are you using data, but you're building something, which kind of is specific to data science, that you have the coding skills to build something that you can interact with. And you can take it in so many fun, different directions. It's not all just charts and graphs and models. Some of it can be like pretty funny and cool to use as well. Okay, got it. So next in our course is cybersecurity. So we offer a cybersecurity engineering program. So in this course, you're basically exploring how to prevent cyber attacks so that people can operate safely. So is my computer connecting to the internet safely? It looks like someone from my team logged in Europe, although they're based in New York. How do I monitor that? How do I investigate it further? How am I sure that my company is hitting state regulatory information in terms of privacy standards? So these are all things that are explored in our cybersecurity engineering program. So you will work through over 600 hours worth of curriculum in our cybersecurity program. In this program, you learn a ton of things: Python, Unix, Linux operating systems, Metasploit. Um, our program's broken down into 8 foundational courses. So you're learning things like network administration, system administration, cryptography, pen testing. So you could do a bit of ethical hacking. So about 50% of its time is in the cyber range lab environment, and common jobs you could think of are like security engineers, security analysts, kind of things like that. So you're really just learning how to like protect information. I think one of the most exciting things about the cybersecurity program is you actually will graduate with a portfolio, which is different than a lot of comparable cyber programs. You'll realize in cybersecurity, it's a lot of like reporting and analysis. You don't come out with as many deliverables. So that was something we wanted to deliver on in our course. So after completing the course, you create a capstone project where you're basically like simulating a real world breach scenario where you present a solution to a panel. You kind of talk through all of the like steps you took, and it actually is really fun. So you do a lot of like red team, blue team stuff, someone being the attacker and someone being the person trying to protect the network. So you get a lot of real world practical application in this program as well. Now, our last and kind of most newest course that we're offering is product design. So in short, you're using like design, research, and data to solve problems for a user's experience. So in this, you're not learning as much in terms of coding. You're learning like, why did this orange layout test better than a red layout? What is informing the size of our buttons on our site? Who are we trying to attract as a user? Is our site accessible? All of these things are things that you will explore in our product design course. So let's see. In this course, we actually, for your portfolio project, you will be using like real world sites that are already out there and then making mock changes to existing designs to propose how it could be improved or to explore further why they made the choices that they did. I think that this is actually extremely interesting because you're breaking down an already existing product and making iterations and changes and suggestions, which is very often what you do in a design process. So this project is talking about a company that's called Heirloom. They install hydroponic technologies for indoor and outdoor use. And this student's design on the screen, it shows like how you might improve the components of a system or kind of how you would better display information for what the site's use is. And I think that that's just a cool kind of design process that you'll go through. And this is one of those better, more beginner friendly courses. If maybe you want to make a career in tech, but like don't want to code, maybe you just want to focus a bit more on like research and understanding users. So I think that that actually makes it a pretty dynamic course as well. All right, so we've talked a bit about all the different courses that we offer. Now we're going to dive a bit more into how your process would go should you be a student here. So there's like quite a few different teams and people that you'll interact with, but all of them are dedicated to like getting you that career change, making it so you could take the course successfully, graduate, and land a job. So you'll be interacting with people like me, admissions representatives, teachers, coaches, career coaches. This is kind of like your go-to team of who's going to be supporting you throughout your process. So we'll take some time to kind of walk you through what the admissions process might look like for you. Okay, so these are all the steps that we're kind of going to go through right now. So number one for us is to submit a written application. And maybe I'll even backtrack. I actually think number one should be like researching what course you want. We have a lot of free material on our website where you can explore a bit about like, do I want to do product design? Do I want to do software engineering? Maybe I'm more of a data science person. So you have an opportunity to explore a lot of these before you even put in an application. You also have many opportunities to like schedule a call with us, talk a bit about the course offerings. I'm going to cough off camera. I'm sorry, guys. I like have a slight cold that I'm trying to get over. So yeah, once you get to explore what course you like, now's the time to kind of submit a written application. So when should you apply? As I mentioned, we focus a lot on career changers. So apply when you know that you're ready for a career change and kind of when you've decided what pace you want to take, what course you're interested in. Things you don't need to apply, like you don't need to know how to code or design or hack or work with data. That's why you're taking a course. So we don't expect you to have all of these things under your belt before applying. These are some of the things we're going to guide you through throughout the program. Um, but honestly, I think when you've done your research and realize you want to make a switch, but might not exactly know how to get there, it's the time to either schedule a call or actually apply for the course. Now, once you apply, you're typically invited to do an admissions interview with someone like me or someone else on our admissions team. So what this looks like is this is more of like a get to know you. It's typically a 20-minute Zoom call where we get to answer questions you have. We get to know you a bit better. I usually am kind of leaving it up to you to tell me a bit about yourself, your journey in technology so far, and what's motivating you to make a move. My biggest recommendation during an admissions interview is to ask questions. It's really your time to get any kind of hesitation you have out of your system. I think people's unique stories are really compelling, and these things that we're adding to your skill set, we're adding to it, right? Like you already have an established skill set that is super relevant. So it's your time to kind of tell us about yourself and to get to know Flatiron School a bit better. Now, I also would say a tip is that I really do like Zoom calls. I think it makes a difference to be able to see people. So again, these are typically over Zoom, but communicate with your admissions lead. If you don't prefer Zoom, we can do it over a phone call as well. Now, after your initial interview, if you're moving forward, you're typically asked to do an admissions assessment. So for us, this is a 15-minute general aptitude assessment. It is not based on software engineering skills or data science skills. It's things that are much more general. It's like quick math questions. There's some pattern matching, vocab stuff. I actually think my next slide displays kind of some example questions. So yeah, some sample verbal questions, spatial reasoning questions, things like that. So you get an opportunity to kind of work through this. It is a timed assessment. In 15 minutes, you answer as many as you can of 50 questions. Now, the number one question we get is like, what if I don't do well in this? What if I am just not a good test taker? We typically just ask people if they don't score as well as they wanted to just simply try again. But I would also say we can't reduce you to a score. This is just gives us an example of how you use new information. And it's absolutely not the only thing we look at when making an admissions decision. We're also looking at things like how your interview went, how your application was submitted. So again, it gives us a bit of information about how you problem solve, but not the only thing we look at. So once you've completed your assessment and have your interview complete, your next step is for us to make an admissions decision. We can typically make this fairly quickly. It usually takes us about 1 to 3 days. We do like to meet as a team to kind of discuss all of our applicants. So that might be the only holdup in getting a decision, but like very often we have a pretty quick turnaround in terms of an admissions decision. And then the next step for y'all would be going through some pre-work. We would never put you in a rigorous educational setting without being sure you have some of the fundamentals down, but pre-work enables you to do this in a bit more of a supported setting. So for cybersecurity and data science, this is about 40 hours of material. For product design, it's about 30 hours. And then software engineering, it is a good 60 hours of material that you will work through before you start in class. We differ from a lot of schools and where we put kind of our technical gate. So a lot of people have, you do a technical portion before you're even admitted. But when you're admitted on our end and are working through pre-work, you have a few more resources, like we can kind of support you a bit better. Lots of times you're taking a course because you don't know these things. So pre-work is an opportunity that you could do it while collaborating with other students. via like things like the Slack channel. So for example, this student was working through their pre-work, they got stuck, they asked other students for help, and about 5 people jumped in and helped them troubleshoot. So we like to foster collaboration and community like very early in our process. One way we do that is through peer-to-peer support with pre-work. We also do things like office hours. We have technical coach support as you're working through pre-work, and actually just like a lot of resources you can use so that um, although you do need to be prepared technically for the course, you're doing so in a bit more of a supported setting. So if you were looking for like the technical kind of gate, I would say it's pre-work. And you also want to think about this in your timeline. If you're looking to start soon, just keep and factor in that you'll do some pre-work before you begin. So maybe that means you start a little bit later than expected because you'll have to factor this into your timeline. Now, I'll go through some financing and tuition options because you got to know how you would pay for the course. So the full cost of tuition here at Flatiron School is $16,900. Typically, when a student is admitted, they would pay a deposit of $500, and then the remainder you could either pay up front. You can do a monthly installment plan that would just split your tuition equally over 1 year with no interest. We also do work with a variety of loan partners, two partners in particular, Ascent and Climb. If you go through our providers and are approved, they actually have very flexible repayment options. I think the most popular is like interest only until you graduate. We do also offer a deferred loan, no payments until 3 months post graduation. And then we also do have a variety of scholarships that you can look into. Right now, we have like the Women Take Tech Scholarship. We have the Access Scholarship, which is a needs-based scholarship that's really geared towards underrepresented groups in tech. And then we also do have a merit scholarship just based on how you go through the admissions process. Our scholarships typically range from about $1,000 to $3,000, so they would cover your upfront deposit and usually a small portion of your tuition as well. We really are trying to kind of diversify the face of technology. So absolutely, if you're in an underrepresented group in tech, apply for the Access Scholarship. If you're a person of color, members of the LGBTQ community, a veteran, these are all initiatives that are geared towards you so that you can enter this tech space. Okay, got it. So now you've gone through the admissions process, you've gone through the course, you did well, you made friends, hopefully you're graduating. Now, like, how do you get a job? I think that's kind of the most important part of the whole process is if you're making a career change, like, how are you actually going to land that job? So if I was going to kind of shout out one of our biggest value adds, it is 1,000% career services. We again have been around for quite a while. We have plenty of established relationships with companies, which we'll get into soon. But it also has made it so we're just really, really great and have kind of formalized how to help students get jobs. So in our program, you get paired with a one-on-one coach. And you usually even get paired with them a bit before you're graduating, usually when you're working on your final project. They will start with all the basics. They'll help you redo your resume, redo your LinkedIn. They'll teach you how to start talking about your portfolio. You'll do a lot of things just narrowing down your job search. And then you'll do mock tech interviews, mock HR interviews. So we'll see what you're strong in and what you want to keep working on. And then we work with you every single week post graduation until you land a job in the field. So you're usually coming up with kind of like a job search strategy that you're going to deploy over a number of weeks. Again, we've come up with a really formalized and kind of like specific way that we think lends itself to landing a job in the field. So it's like tried and true methodology. But the one-on-one coach assures that you have some, just that you have some support while going through. Ooh, I think my slides are getting messed up here. Okay, great. So yeah, this is how you'll go through the job search strategy. And then what are our outcomes? So every single year, Flatiron School puts out a jobs report. It is kind of a highlight of our year when we get to talk a bit about our outcomes. I would also like to brag that our outcomes report references every single job seeking student. So it is a pool of over I think the last one was over 2,000 students that were referenced in the report, as opposed to, only maybe doing a small group. We really do report on every student that was job seeking. And this year we're boasting an 86% job placement rate for our last outcomes report, with an average starting salary of about $74,000. And then keep in mind that this is a range. It does depend on the discipline you're looking at. So this is the average for all of our courses, but there are specific ones for discipline if you want to look into it. And then another really cool highlight from our outcomes report is just how in-depth it is. Like, we talk about common education levels, company sizes people are getting jobs at, average length to getting a job. Like, over 50% of our students get placed within the first 2 months post-graduation. So it is a really rich report. I do encourage you all to take a look. And again, if you go to our website, you can look at a highlights page, but you actually can download the full 75-page report should you like. Also, another shout out for our outcomes report is that women have over a 90% job placement rate, which is insane. And I just feel like it's cool because we really are prioritizing that like 50-50 parity between men and women, not only in our classes, but like these women do really well when job searching as well. So that's like one of my favorite stats from the outcomes report. And these are the types of jobs that students are getting employed by. Or I'm sorry, types of companies that students are getting employed by. So in addition to your career coach, we also do have an employer partnerships team. So again, they make relationships with companies throughout the country and might be able to get you face time with a company you would have never expected. And I think what's really exciting about this is the variety of companies. Like, there are media companies, big tech companies, insurance companies, finance companies. And although obviously we're going to kind of highlight our big names here, actually, I'm noticing we had like 2 NASA placements last year and I don't see them on here. We're going to have to update the slide. But there's also really, really great small companies that we have placed people in, and mission-driven companies. Like, we have a partnership with Datadog, Girls Who Code. There are just so many that we couldn't really list them here. But you can really focus your job search how you would like, and your teacher, or I'm sorry, your one-on-one coach will support you. But it does help to kind of have an in and for us to support you getting face time with a few companies that you might not have been able to. Now, your work with employer partnerships would always be behind the scenes. Like, you're primarily going to work with your coach. But if they find a relevant fit for you is when you would start working with this team as well. Okay, now I'm gonna like take a look at the Q&A. I saw a lot of questions coming in, so maybe I'll just take them kind of like one by one, and then answer them here. Okay, so first question, can someone who has been in marketing and never worked in data science take the course and add to my relevancy? 1,000%. We actually get a lot of people with a marketing background. You guys actually end up doing a lot of data work and research work. So yeah, we have no true prerequisites for our courses. Students just have to be over the age of 18 and have a high school diploma or equivalency. But yeah, we actually have many people with marketing backgrounds that do very well in the data science course. Okay, next question. I have read that some bootcamps offer the ability to pause if you're on a paced learning plan, say for a month or two if needed in life circumstances change. Yep, that is okay. We actually do offer a leave of absence if needed. But I also would say if you maybe project something coming up, you could always take the flex course, because that's designed to take pauses if needed via life circumstances. But yes, in our student catalog, if needed, you could take a leave of absence if you need to. We would always want to support you if a major life circumstance happened that made it impossible to pursue the course. What kind of refund policies exist if you decide not to continue with the course after enrolling? Oh, this is a good question. So this is one where you probably will want to check out our course catalog. A lot of educational institutions, it's a bit regulated. So we have different refund policies per the state that you live in. But typically it's kind of like a sliding scale. The longer you're in the course, the more of the tuition that you would owe. But there are some differences in Flex and Live. So you would definitely want to check out our catalog. You can actually find it on our website, or you can ask your admissions rep to send it to you. We could do that as well. But yeah, it just does depend on the state that you're in. Let's see, how long of a time frame is there to complete the pre-work? For example, data science I know has 40 plus hours of pre-work. Is that able to be completed over a week, 2 weeks, a month? So yeah, 40 hours is basically the estimate. If you have relevant experience, you might breeze through it a bit faster or slower. But it definitely depends. I would say I would always try to give yourself 3 to 4 solid weeks to be able to work through pre-work before starting. We do a survey after students start. Number one thing they say is that they wish they had taken more time in pre-work. So I feel like that's an important part of your process. You don't want rushed. And then it can also depend, like, is your schedule completely free and you could just like dedicate that time to pre-work? Are you going to be working leading up to the course? Those are all things you kind of want to ask yourself. But I always recommend giving yourself 3+ weeks to work through pre-work, regardless of the discipline. And typically your pre-work is due before you start, about a week before you start. So also think about that as well. You wouldn't be working up to the date of your start date. It is typically due the Monday before. How would I know if the program is 529 direct plan eligible for tuition payment? Yeah, so 529 is an educational fund. So you would actually have to check with your bank to see if we are approved vendor. Flatiron School is not accredited. We're a privately run educational institution. But I will say typically I've seen students use 529 to pay their tuition. But if your bank doesn't allow, sometimes you can withdraw it with a penalty. So you do just have to check with your individual bank. Okay, next question. Is the Flex the same cost as the full-time program? Yes. So our tuition is the same across courses, PACE options. The tuition is $16,900. Our Flex program actually has live components to it. So in our Flex program, although you don't have to sit in front of a teacher each day, you're working through our curriculum with recorded material when you're working on your own. But you actually can attend instructor-led sessions. You get a calendar of all the Zoom links. You go to as many instructor-led sessions as your schedule allows. So we do actually have a good amount of staff on for our Flex program to facilitate that. So yep, same cost as the full-time program. Let's see. I was put on a wait list for the February cohort and I'm waiting final decision this week. Is it possible that I would be accepted for this year? I think you should just reach out to your admissions rep. Now, February, I believe is closed. It's starting in a couple weeks. But keep in mind, we have start dates like pretty regularly. So definitely just reach out to who you've been working with and they can give you an update. For all of our courses, we do rolling admissions. So once the start date fills, you can usually typically go to the next one. For software engineering, we have start dates every 3 weeks. For data science, it's every 6 weeks. So it depends on what you're interested in, but typically we can get you in the next cohort. So definitely just follow up with your admissions rep. Okay, next question. Someone asked for the recording after the meeting. Yes, we're going to email this out to everybody. Absolutely. Let's see. What happened to the financial offering of postponing payments until you have gained employment? This is a great question. So I think what you're describing is an income shared agreement or an ISA. So we used to offer an ISA. This is basically something that's a payment option that's based off of job placement. So we were going to go with one this year. When we were kind of re-exploring it, we found that the payment option would not be that agreeable to students. With an ISA, you pay until you hit a cap. So we decided not to go with that this year and instead do a deferred loan. So you don't make any payments to the loan until 3 months after you graduate the course, which lines up well with our average placement rate. So yeah, no ISA for us, but we do have a deferred loan option if you were looking to put off payment of the program until after you have graduated. Let's see what we got here. Hello, how often is the curriculum in the SC program revised? Additionally, are there algorithms and data structures covered in the course? There is data structures covered in the software engineering program. We actually audit our curriculum every single year with our employer partners. So we are like constantly making changes and updates to make our curriculum most relevant. So yeah, every single year we usually make some tweaks or review our curriculum, and that's for all of our courses, not just our software engineering course. And yes, algorithms and data structures are covered. Let's see. When do you anticipate the 2021 outcomes report being published? Oh, this is a great question. I don't want to misspeak because I'm not on our on our marketing team that puts it out, but we usually get it before the end of Q1. So I imagine it'll be sometime in March. Let's see. Is the job data specific to only US students? Do you have data for Canada, Ontario in particular? This is a good question. So no, the job data is any student that graduated Flatiron School. We actually, before the pandemic, did have a London campus. We never had a campus in Canada. But no, it's not just limited to US students, so you can check it out. If you are an international student, you can take the course. The only thing you might have trouble with is financing it. We usually typically require a US cosigner if you're going to take out a loan. But if you're thinking of doing like an installment plan or paying up front, you definitely can utilize that. So yeah, check out the outcomes report. I don't think if we have a specific part about international students, but we definitely had international students take the course. I think the next question is also about international students. Okay, so hopefully I covered that. Yes, if you are an international student, you can take the program. You do get full career services. Again, we don't support any visa maintenance, so maybe that's something that could be, important. We can't guarantee that if you're doing your search based in the US that you'll get a visa. But other than that, you can absolutely take the program. What campuses are open? This is a great question. So right now, our New York City campus is open, as well as our Denver campus. But we're doing a phased reopen. So actually, I think I don't want to misrepresent which campuses are opening next, or get you guys too hyped for it. New York City and Denver are open now, and we should have some other ones opening around summertime. Are you able to pay more than $500 upfront and pay the rest monthly? Yeah, if you want to. 500 is the only thing we would require as your deposit, but you can structure your monthly payments how you'd like. So if you'd like to do a bigger monthly payment, a bigger deposit, you definitely can. So yeah, and then you can make smaller monthly payments overall if you'd like. What happened to the school in Atlanta? With COVID, we closed all of our campus locations, and again, we're just doing a phased reopen. So Atlanta is no longer open right now. I don't know if it's on our next phase of reopens, but obviously, if we decide to open Atlanta again, we'll let everyone know. But yeah, we had to close all of the campus locations when COVID happened, and then we're slowly reopening the ones that have demand and make sense for us. If you're not accepted the program, what is the turnaround time before you're allowed to reapply and be considered? Typically, it depends on your reason for not moving forward. We typically ask students to give themselves 3 months if, like, maybe they weren't admitted for an assessment score, or maybe you're just a true beginner and we thought you needed more context to the course you were interested in. So definitely check in with your admissions rep. But typically, I would say it's about 3 months before you would reapply. Can someone who does not have a degree succeed in the software engineering or cybersecurity course? Absolutely. We absolutely have people that graduate and get a job that do not have a degree. That's actually, again, in our outcomes report. We talk about the education level of students there. It says how many people just had a high school diploma, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and or higher. So that's something you can look at. But again, like we try to focus on students' transferable skills, and then adding a technical focus onto those things. So you could be very successful You know, even if you don't have a degree, I feel like a tech career is kind of one of those last avenues where it's not necessarily needed. I will be applying from outside the US. Can I apply for the scholarships? I actually think our scholarships are only available to those that are US citizens or permanent residents. Let's see, does a bachelor's degree in biology help with the overall employment after graduation? I mean, absolutely. It adds to your relevant experience. Maybe you can leverage that to get a job in that field. You could talk about it with your career coach should you graduate the course. But yeah, I think anybody's relevant experience helps them in getting a job because it adds to your story. Um, so yeah, even if you have a degree that's not in a tech field, you can use that as an advantage in your job search. Does a software engineering course use workflows like Git or an in-house tool? Yes. So your portfolio will be backed up on a GitHub account. You will use Git in, I think that, and in our data science course as well. Is there a recommended baseline of computers for the program? So yes, you can actually ask an admissions rep and we can send you through our computer requirements document. We don't have a very strict system requirement. You can use a Mac or you could use a PC, but you couldn't use like a Chromebook or a tablet. And most of our courses do have memory minimum, so at times you have to purchase an external hard drive. But based on the course you're in, we can send you through the specific type of machine you would want to use and the specs you would need to be compatible with the course. But we do actually try to use a lot of like cloud-based things or real-world tools, so you don't have to like fully download a ton of stuff other than your local environment. For in-person learning, specifically NYC, what are the typical hours or routine throughout the day? So if you're in New York, you would study with us 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. So you actually come to campus, you're with us throughout the whole day, 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. So it is quite intensive. You're here for a lot of hours. You do get a break for lunch and a few breaks in between. And typically you have like live lecture, you're working on projects, you do a lot of paired programming and group work. Um, so yeah, it's really exciting that we have a New York City presence again. And just for reference, in New York City right now, we're offering software engineering and data science. But very soon, I believe we'll be offering product design, and then hopefully ultimately cyber will be branched in there as well. Let's see. I've gone through the admissions process, but I haven't received a reply. Oh, definitely email your admissions rep. 1,000%. If your admissions rep is not responsive, you can also email admissions at flatironschool.com. That goes to our general inbox that we look at every single day. So if you're having a hard time getting in touch with your admissions rep, then definitely just email admissions at flatironschool.com and we will get back to you. But I'm also going to write your name down to be sure that we get a response. So um, let me actually just put that in my note right now, and I'll follow up with you specifically to be sure we can accommodate. Okay, great. Can you describe how access to instructors and coaches work? How many days, hours of office hours weekly? So for the live program, you interact with your instructor every day. There's lecture every single day for the live course. Um, so yeah, that would be every day. A lot of times your coaches will do your office hours. Now in the flex program, how that works is you will have a dedicated instructor that you'll meet with throughout the course. They're like your teacher. So that's who you typically will present projects to. Say you need to update your pace, you'll do it with your teacher. Say there's just a really hard concept you're not getting, you'll do so with your teacher. But you also will have access to instructors via the live sessions. So again, like they're hosting things like office hours, guided practices, workshops. We typically have upwards of 25 a week. So you usually have like 4 or 5 that would pertain to the phase that you're in. And then the coach support is through a chat feature that's right in our educational platform. So typically you can like share screens with them, they'll Zoom with you. And those are typically after hours and on weekends, so that if you're working outside of regular hours, you can still get some support. So you typically have like access to a live human, like a teacher, all the time, like pretty much until midnight if you're on Eastern time. Mm, let's see. Does the product design course also show you UI design? Yes. So the first few phases are UX and UI design. Yep. So user interface as well as user experience design is covered in our product design course. Okay. What behaviors make a student most successful? How does one stand out? Oh, this is a great question. I really always look for students that are well researched. So people that have tried some free courses to see what they like. I think it can be hard because you might want to know you want to make a transition to tech, but there's a lot of options. So try some free materials. There's so many that you can do, and you don't want to make a career change from one thing you don't like to something else you don't like, right? You want to enjoy what you're doing. So I would absolutely recommend like trying some free stuff. I also think like coming in with questions is most a good part of like standing out in the admissions process. And then in terms of being successful as a student, um, not like using the resources that are there, especially for our flex students, right? Like it's not designed that you go at it alone. It could be really isolating to take a course where you're just interacting with recorded material. So like definitely use the live sessions, collaborate with other students. Don't save all your questions to a one-on-one, go to an office hours, use a coach. So I think like tapping into the community makes for the most successful students, because it's really hard to go through a boot camp. Um, very often as adults, we don't put ourselves in situations where we're not good at something, and it can be a bit jarring to feel like you're lost or feel like, why do I not know anything and everybody knows everything? And that's just the name of the game with, for one thing, coding, and then two things, just like trying something new. So I absolutely recommend like getting in contact with other students, taking the course, like going to workshops, going to guest speakers, things like that, because it makes it a more rich experience and you get more networking in. And it's a true value out of the course. You wouldn't be getting the full value of it if you didn't utilize those things. So I hope that helps. Mm, I have another question just about someone having a four-year degree. I always think it can make you more marketable. It depends on how you kind of structure your job search and how you work at it with your coach. But anyone's experience is relevant. Like you're trying to work for companies where you're not a cultural fit, you're a cultural add. So anything you have in terms of relevant experience can be leveraged in the job search. Is there any exams and grading for the assignments and projects that we work on? Yes, there are. So once you're in, it definitely depends on the course. Like for software engineering, it also depends on the pace. Typically in Flex, you're just graded on your project work, but in our live course, in some courses, you're doing things like code challenges. So it depends on the course you are, whether there's like a kind of like a graded test aspect of it. But for all of our courses, you'll be doing project work. So yeah, check in about your specific discipline with your admissions lead. But there usually is assignments and projects that you're completing where you're getting feedback from teachers and they're graded. Do you offer a cybersecurity analytics track along with your cybersecurity engineering track? No, we only offer cybersecurity engineering. We were finding a lot of overlap in the curriculum, but cybersecurity engineering being a bit more relevant and kind of preparing students better for the job track. So right now we only offer a cybersecurity engineering program. Another question just about if there's a price difference between live and flex. They are the same price. Can I use Department of Labor WIOA funding to take the software engineering course in DC? Yes, actually, we do accept that as a funding. That's a third party funder that we are approved with. I believe you have to go through an application process with them, but as long as you're done there, then you can just let your admissions lead know that that's how you'll be funding the course. Mm, If taking the course flexible schedule, what's the monthly rate different than the live schedule? So in the live schedule, it's a 15-week course, so it's a bit over 3 months. With flex, you'll graduate anywhere between 5 and 15 months, so 20 to 60 weeks. So I would say it depends on the pace that you choose. You can kind of go at a full-time schedule even with flex, or you could do as little as 10 to 15 hours a week. So you choose the pace you're going at in that course. Are there accommodations for people with learning disabilities, math, logic, language assessment? Oh, this is a great question. So in terms of the assessment, no accommodations made in the assessment itself. It's just like it's a test you take online. But if you do need an accommodation, please just let your admissions advisors know. There's some steps we can take to accommodate for sure. So yes, if you just apply, I think it invites you to the assessment. But if you need an accommodation, please wait to chat with an admissions lead. Let's see, do we facilitate networking events? Are those regional? Yes, we have quite a few networking events. So we have some things that are things like webinars. Those are really good for students that are obviously like in flex or not near a campus location. But in New York City, we've already had some events. In Denver, we will be having some events. So it just depends on whether you want to do a live event. But we, throughout being closed via COVID, have had a ton of different types of events that you can attend, and some of them have been networking events for sure. What should I have prepared for the application process? Do I need references, resumes, etc.? You don't actually have to provide us with any references or any resumes. I always think more information is nice. So if you want to include it, you can, but it's not required. Typically in the written application, we just ask you to tell us a bit about your professional background, your goals of the course, and any relevant tech experience you have so far. And it usually takes about like 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Let's see. Someone's looking for contact. I'm looking to enroll the information security analyst to start on February 28th in Arlington, Virginia. I don't think that's our course. We don't have a February 28th start date. But if you're looking to get in touch with admissions, you can just hit the contact us button at the bottom of the website, and someone from admissions can schedule a call with you. Can you pay your tuition with a credit card? Yes, I believe you can. Let's see. For the interview, do I have to reach level 6 on Code Wars for admissions? No, actually, no, you don't. Some of our courses don't even require coding, and you can come in without any relevant coding experience. So no, you don't have to get to anywhere in another free course to apply. I would actually recommend that talk with your admissions advisor. They can advise you if there's anything you have to do before starting in class. But perhaps you might have been recommended to do some Code Wars just to see if you like coding and then see if you enjoy it, which I definitely do recommend. Check out some, free courses just to see if you like the material. That can give you some context of whether, you want to put in the time and monetary commitment to the course. Let's see. It looks like someone internationally is just talking about the hours of the flexible schedule with the live sessions. So yeah, typically the flex schedule is like from kind of working hours, so 9 to about 7-ish Eastern. So you would definitely want to see if it works with your time zone, or if you're located internationally, if it would be a good value of yours. But yeah, typically they're during regular business hours, but we do have a couple that are after hours to support people that are working. So you would just have to probably kind of check your time zone to see if it would be relevant to when you would be free. Let's see, how large are classes for in-person learning? Typically our classes are around 20 students per instructor. So we have a couple classes that are running right now at the New York City campus, but our campus is like really big. So yeah, you can check out our catalog for the student teacher ratio for all of our classes, but it's typically around 20 students. Are the instructor-led courses on camera and interactive? Yes, so they're over Zoom. A teacher is conducting them and giving, the lecture. It depends how big the class are, how interactive it'll be. If the class is really large, sometimes you wait until after the lecture to ask your teacher specific questions. So yeah, it depends on the course, how interactive it is. But we love when students are like asking questions. There are usually things going on in the chat. We usually try to have people moderating, so they're actually quite fun. But yeah, it just depends on the course. Let's see. Actually, I'll check on time. I know we're a bit over time. There still are a few questions here. I'm going to see if I can consolidate some of them. But again, if anybody has to hop because we're a bit over, we are going to send a recording of things. So I'll keep working through and see how many of the questions we can get answered. Let's see. Do you offer full tuition scholarships to underrepresented groups in tech? Right now, we don't have any full tuition scholarships running right now. We have the partial ones that I mentioned, nothing full. Do you require a cosigner on the income-driven loan? It does depend on your credit worthiness. For our loans, you do a hard credit check. And sometimes you might be asked to reapply with a cosigner if you might not hit the credit check minimum. So it definitely just depends on the individual and your individual credit worthiness. Let's see, what's the most common reason people don't end up getting a job after they graduate? Everybody's job search can be quite different. It depends on how narrow you want your job search to be, regions that you're located in, the types of roles you're looking for. And honestly, I really do feel like you get out what you put into the job search. We don't do job placement. We're helping you in your job search and giving you kind of guided information to make it more successful. But if you go into it with a positive mindset, if you listen to the suggestions of your career coach, if you're constantly working on your technical skills, it is very likely you'll get a job post graduation. But I think that like there are many reasons why someone might not land a job post graduation, and a lot of it has to do with that individual and what they have going on and how much time they can really dedicate to a qualified search. All right. What if I would like to switch programs halfway through one course? I wouldn't recommend that. You would likely have to pay the tuition for both courses. Now, there are some avenues you could take if you find the courses in the right step for you. That's a lot of the reason why we have students do pre-work, so you get a lot of work under your belt before you actually start. But yeah, you would basically adhere to whatever is in our course catalog in terms of your refund structure, and then you would have to reapply to that course, the course you're interested in. What has your experience been with people who have completely different career from any of these fields? Asking because this is all new to me. Very typical. We have students that don't have relevant experience before exploring. That's like the exact reason why they're looking for a course of this style. So I would say like most students don't have experience in the field and are doing this to make the change. So it's quite typical. And any advice I would give is just to start on free material and see what courses you like, and to schedule a chat with admissions to see if it might be a good fit for you. Do all campuses offer all 4 programs? As I mentioned, like right now, only the NYC campus and the Denver campus are opened. And at those 2 campuses, we're offering software engineering. Soon, well, we have data science running at the NYC campus, which will also soon be offered at Denver. So yeah, right now, we're kind of phasing the programs in. So no, all the campuses don't offer all 4 programs right now. What happened to Python and software engineering? We never taught Python in our software engineering program. I actually think it might be something we're visiting, but right now the backend language that we teach is Ruby, and that's always the language we've taught in that course. It's a really good beginner friendly language. It helps you start thinking in code. And then again, like you learn front end JavaScript. Computer requirements, I think we already answered. You can ask your admissions lead and they can send you through resources about their computer requirements. What is the acceptance rate to your different programs? It's funny, I don't know if we still really report on our acceptance rate. I think there's some crazy stat that's on the internet that's like we have a 5% acceptance rate. I don't think that that's accurate. Yeah, I don't think it's something we really report on. But we're absolutely like motivated to help you kind of go through the admissions process successfully. So yeah, just talk to your admissions advisor and they can help walk you through our full process. What is the application fee? There is no application fee. Anyone can apply for the course as long as you're over the age of 18 and have a high school diploma. Our application you can find on our website, flatironschool.com. Do we get access to pre-work materials after enrolling in the program or beforehand? You get access to pre-work once you're admitted to the course and have confirmed your seat. But there is some free material on our website if you just want to start exploring the course. So there's some free stuff on the website now, and then you'll get access to your pre-work once you're admitted. Are there any certifications earned at the end of the data science course? Oh, this is a good question. So we're not a certification program. We're not like regulated by the state or any entities. We're a privately run educational institution. So you don't get any certifications with any of our program. Our true deliverable of the course are practical skills and job and career support. So landing a job in the field, making a successful career change. How many instructors are involved in the NYC data science program? Do they rotate? What is the structure like? Our in-person cohort, it's about 20 students and we'll have one teacher per those 20 students. They'll also interact with coaching staff as well. So yeah, you'll have a dedicated teacher. They're the ones who's gonna be reviewing your projects, conducting your lectures. But again, you will interact with coaching staff as well that can help you kind of ad hoc. They might run office hours, things like that. How heavily are you focused on UI in the product design course? Probably UX and UI is weighted the same in the product design. So it is like a vital part of phase 1 and 2. So yeah, I would say like probably 50% of UI is focused on in the product design course. Can you switch from part-time online and then switch to full-time? If you were interested in a schedule like that, you would want to do the flex program because you can go very fast in flex. There's kind of a full-time pace in flex. So yeah, that is a route you want to take if you want to be flexible and adjust your time commitment throughout the course. I'm already employed as a software engineer, but I'd like to switch over to more data science and machine learning role. Um, are the courses worthwhile for those who have already experienced in tech? Yes, like super often. I have people with software engineering that want to do more data focused roles. You can absolutely pursue the data science program. It actually might even be a easier transition for you since you have a background in that as well. And let's see, I'm just gonna scroll through because I don't want to keep people over too far. So if you guys have like specific discipline specific questions, it might be a better idea to just like chat with someone on the admissions team about that discipline. I'm gonna try to maybe go for like some more generalized questions. Someone asked if there's financial aid. We're not, again, we're privately run, so you couldn't get any state money to pay for the course like financial aid. But you can apply for a loan, do an installment plan, or perhaps go for a partial scholarship. Are Flex and online live? Are Flex online courses live or recorded? This is a great question. So both. There are recorded materials for when you're working on your own. There's an embedded recorded material that you'll basically refer to when you're going through, but you can attend live instructor-led Zoom sessions as your schedule allows. So they're optional, but absolutely recommended. So live is a combination of some pre-recorded material along with live opportunities. Someone asked, how does a bootcamp compare to a college degree? This is a really great question. So boot camps are really focused on practical skills. Whereas like, I mean, I can only speak for my degree. It definitely wasn't focused on practical skills. I'm an English major. But yeah, boot camps are really focused on getting you job readiness skills and kind of the deliverables of actually getting a job once you graduate. So it's really focused on like how you can display yourself post-graduation, having a working portfolio, having real world applications to your skill set. So I would say like that's probably how it compares to a college degree. They're also typically much faster and and more affordable. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a different model of education. I wouldn't say any one is better than the other, but they're different for a reason because um, sometimes you don't have any guaranteed outcomes from a college degree, and you don't have any support in actually landing a job where a boot camp could come in and kind of disrupt that. How long does it typically take for a graduated student to find a job? This is a great question. This is all in our outcomes report. You can find it. Again, over 50% of students get placed within the first 2 months post graduation. But if you check out the outcomes report, it has like a whole, kind of like a whole breakdown of how fast students get jobs once they graduate. Let's see, do I get the $500 down payment if you get rejected? I mean, you wouldn't, if you weren't admitted, you wouldn't pay a deposit. You only pay a deposit once you're admitted to the course and plan on starting. But yes, our deposits are fully refundable should anything come up before your start date. So yeah, we would refund a deposit if ever needed. I think some of these we answered. Are there campus tours available? So yes, at Denver and NYC, you can sign up for a campus tour. We have a lot of live classes happening right now. So I believe you actually have to sign up for a seat to actually visit campus. But let your admissions lead know. We can send you through the sign up form. Okay. I think we did like pretty good. I'm trying to see if there's anything here that like was really big that we didn't answer. Upcoming deadlines to apply. Again, we do rolling admissions. So it depends on the start date you're interested in. But I literally never feel like it's too early to apply. I would say just apply so that if admitted, you can get into free work. So it depends on the course. Like for example, data science, the next upcoming cohort is March 14th, and you would want to apply like within the week to try to get into that one so you have enough time to do pre-work. So I usually recommend applying like 4 to 6 weeks before your intended start date so you could get the pre-work done. Okay. I think we're in pretty good shape. And I think I answered kind of most of these questions. If you do the online version but are near a campus location, is it possible to go in person or do you use the location as a place to work on projects? Yeah, if you're near a campus location and you're a flex student, you can visit campus. You can actually work out of the campus like co-working space and do kind of like student-led study groups are pretty popular. So I think that's an added benefit of the course is that you can do really whatever works for you, right? Like if you do want to be in person, you can be in person. If you just want to work at home, you can. You have some flexibility there. So yes, you can go to campus if it's open and you're an enrolled student. Okay, so again, I don't want to hold everyone up too late. So if there's any questions I didn't get answered or that I might have not seen in the chat, you can absolutely schedule a 10-minute chat with admissions. There are links on our website. So if you visit flatironschool.com and hit contact us, you can schedule a chat with us. You could apply and then have a conversation with admissions, very similar to some of the stuff we covered here. And like I said, please explore like our free material and see, if there is a course that's just like really standing out for you. As I mentioned, you'll all get this recording coming your way in the next like couple days. So yeah, I'm super excited to hear that like you're considering Flatiron School, and if there's any further ways that we can help, just let us know. Right. Okay, good night, everyone.